leveraging technology can help you to still stay personal. And I think that is a misconception, is that we can't use technology to stay personal, but we can.
Yeah. And I think what's important there is not to try and act like these automations are a real human there. If it's automated, a client is fine. Like, you still thought about me. So we're not trying to impersonate, and know with AI and a few tools that we're launching with our clients, we're not trying to replace a human. We're just trying to personalize that entire experience and ensure that this client is getting the service in a timely manner. And again, this becomes vital when you start to scale. When your business is below or around the 2, 3, 4, 500K, you can manage this. You have a team, things are going great, right? But once you start hitting that R1 million mark and you're starting to scale now, adding automations becomes vital for your growth. Otherwise, you'll hit that plateau. It's November already, and if you can feel it, the pressure is on.
Yeah. I think this year has been one of those for many, but it's definitely November. We can feel that.
And I think the big question we've been hearing is, am I too late? And is it even possible to make a difference over the next, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm Shavir. I'm one of the co-founders of Livespace. I'm joined by Malaika, and we're a sales growth agency. We've worked with over 100 businesses. So we're basically using this opportunity to share more about our festive sales playbook.
So in this episode, we're going to be giving you guys the exact 5-step playbook that you can take right now to accelerate your sales.
By the end of this, you should have a way forward in terms of how to drive sales over the next couple of weeks.
Without further ado, let's jump into step 1 of our guide. And that's basically about stop selling to everyone. Find your best customers.
Maybe just to kick this off, I can read a quick snippet from the playbook. If your target audience are women aged 25 to 55, you're not targeting, you're just burning cash. When you speak to everyone, you get ignored by everyone.
Let me ask you a question. Why shouldn't we try to sell to everyone? Because you said we're going to be burning through cash. So why shouldn't we sell to everyone?
I think the goal is to sell to more of your best customers. Best customers could be those that pay you the most and are repeat customers. They buy from you over and over. So I think, how do you find more of those best customers? And I think that's the whole idea when it comes to buyer persona.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that we need to map out before we know who these best customers are. So let's look at 2 examples from our guide. Essentially, when we talk about broad and wasteful, we're talking, for example, women aged 30 to 50 in Gauteng who want to look younger. But creating that buyer persona, you actually become very specific, and specific essentially equals profitable. In this buyer persona, let's meet Pretoria professional Lerato. She's 48. She's a partner at a law firm in Menlyn. She feels the tired look on her video calls because, let's be honest, it's 2025 and we're in November, and it doesn't match her professional energy. Her biggest fear actually isn't price. It's looking fake or overdone. She's time poor and she values discretion and the natural results, not cheap deals. And I think her goal is to walk into her year-end functions looking refreshed and confident.
Basically, what you created there is a buyer persona. So the whole idea here is, if you have one offer, and let's just say this is a facial, right? It's some skin treatment. You can have, for one treatment or one offer, you can have multiple buyer personas.
Yeah.
So again, it's creating more of the Leratos of the world. And I know you have another example that we can quickly walk through.
Yep. So let's look at example number 2. Again, being broad and wasteful is saying, I'm targeting people in Johannesburg looking for furniture. But being specific and profitable is, you meet Santon executive Steve. He's 55. He just moved into a new penthouse. He's not actually buying a couch. He's investing in a statement piece. He reads the Financial Mail. He's actually not price shopping. He's looking for exclusive design. He values craftsmanship. And he wants the white glove delivery service. And he definitely wants his home to reflect his success.
In both examples, Steve and Lerato, I think what we're trying to do here is understand what their pain points are. And once you're able to understand their pain points, you're able to create your offer as the perfect solution towards that pain point. With a lot of clients that we work with, we don't want to be competing on price. And when you're able to create offers that's specific to a buyer persona, you start competing on value. When you have a perfect offer for your buyer persona, price becomes irrelevant.
I think that's such a key component, because narrowing down to who those best customers are and actually understanding those pain points when you craft the offer, essentially what you're doing is you're understanding how they think. You're understanding what anything means to them or what they value. So when you position your offer to them, it literally becomes the next logical step. Let's look at our agency, for instance. We've met with so many clients where they've seen our ads over a period of time, and then they see that one ad. And they're like, did you know what I was thinking? Because I was literally just thinking this, and then I saw it in an ad. And that's when you get really good at understanding who your best customers are and what they're thinking, what do they want? And I mean, again, essentially it leads to them taking that next logical step.
If you're looking at call outs, right, and if you understand who your buyer persona is, and again, let's use our agency as an example and who we target. So if we're saying clinic owners versus business owners, if you're a clinic owner, you're going to stop and you're going to watch that video and perhaps click on the landing page. I mean, if you're targeting e-com owners or health and beauty brand owners, it's really specific.
Yeah.
Us, for example, when I see ads and if it says agency owners, I'm stopping, right? When they're calling us out as entrepreneurs or business owners, it's like it's too broad. So a buyer persona is understanding who are the customers that you're looking for and how do we attract them. So in a buyer persona, it helps us to call out our ideal clients. So remember, we spoke about finding the best customers, those that spend the most and those that are repeat customers. A call out is the quickest way to actually get them to stop what they're doing and listen to you.
Yeah, that's good. I want to make a note here, and I think just looking at a couple of platforms, and I know we'll look at that in one of the steps a little bit later on, but platforms change drastically on a daily basis. And what we've found is that when you're not specific and you don't know who you're really talking to and you take this broad approach, it becomes a very costly mistake that you made, because your ad spend becomes wasted, getting all this reach, but no one is actually clicking to take the next step. I think it's definitely becoming very specific about who you're looking to target. What are they thinking? What pain points are they looking to solve? And then craft your offer around that.
And I mean, to end, I think in terms of step one, if you look at Meta's algorithm changes, they're focusing more on creatives. They want you to be creative. If you're targeting a specific audience, make creatives that speaks directly to them. So as an example, we both are agency owners, and let's say there's a business that's trying to work with Livespace as an agency. The ad that they'll show you and the ad that they'll show me will be different, because we're separate individuals, even though they're targeting the agency as a business, but it's two different buyer personas. So if you look at these algorithms, they want to personalize it, meaning that the ads that you see and the ads that I see would be different.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same brand and kind of like the same offer.
I agree. Last thing that I'd like to add on that before we jump into step two is that I think that's so critical. And I think a platform like Meta is making it actually easier to get to the same avatar, but in multiple different ways, because we all consume and we all buy differently. So I think what this does is you're still able to be specific about your avatar and who your best customer is, but now you're understanding how each individual under that avatar actually makes a purchase decision from a creative perspective. All right.
Let's head over to step two.
So step two is stop spreading yourself too thin. Fish where the fish are.
To kick this off, here's a snippet from our playbook. Being everywhere is the fastest way to burn your cash and your energy. You don't need to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google, and YouTube all at once. So before we dive in, there's two things that I want to cover. Firstly, this speaks specifically to paid advertising. So if you are doing organic content, keep that going, post on multiple platforms, organic, you don't need to be specific when it comes to that. The second thing is from the clients that we worked with, this typically applies to businesses that want to get to R1 million.
Yeah.
Generally above R1 million, you already have multiple sales channels. You're using multiple ad platforms. They're definitely profitable, or some of them may be profitable. So you keep that going. So again, this is specifically for businesses where you're looking to hit R1 million or you're around that mark and you're looking for a profitable way to grow and to capitalize over the next couple of weeks?
100%. We find that a lot of businesses are typically unsure, especially when you're below that 1 million mark and you're trying to hit that number. What platform do I choose? Or where do I scale? Or when is the right time to actually diversify? And I think one piece of advice that we would probably unpack right now is we spoke about buyer personas, right? And finding your best customers. So two things. Where are majority of those best customers? Like, which platform would you actually find them on? And how do they typically make a buying decision? Because that's going to help you understand which platform to invest in and then where to scale that. And I think that's where understanding things like discovery marketing, which is social selling on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, versus intent marketing, which is actually search. And that means that someone needs to be searching for you right now.
And if we use Lerato as an example, which is the clinic, if you're looking at an offer like that, is Lerato really on Google searching for aesthetic clinics? Or is she feeling the pain but hasn't yet discovered that, hey, this is a pain, until you present your solution in front of her? So again, understanding the buyer persona, which is something that we discuss, and then speaking of it when it comes to ads and your ad creatives, showing them the offer before they know the pain exists. So local businesses, as an example, it's more search-based, so Google works really well.
Yes, I think a lot of businesses don't actually realize this is actually a rule of thumb for search, which is intent marketing. In any niche or any industry, your best customers, it's actually only the top 3% that use intent, which means that they are fully aware of their pain or the problem that they're going through right now, and they're actively looking for a solution. It's only the top 3% of most buyers.
Yeah. And I think the whole thing when it comes to advertising is to get that other 90% further down the funnel so that they sit within that 3%, which are people that purchase. So I think a lot of times, if you look at some of our lead gen clients, when a client does reach out, the intent is there, but the sale hasn't happened yet. And again, that's where the sales part comes in. So again, it's walking someone through that journey. I think what's really important when we look at spreading yourself too thin is that you have to find a platform where your clients are on or your best customers are on, and then that's where you double down on. So you'd rather be an 8 out of 10 on Instagram than a 3 out of 10 on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, etc. So I think the main point here is focus on one platform, double down on it. And then once it becomes a predictable sales engine for you, then you start testing other platforms. And maybe something to close, like we know when you create content on Instagram, like a reel on Instagram, it necessarily doesn't do well on TikTok and vice versa, right? Each platform algorithm works differently. The way people consume content, more importantly, is different. So the same with your ads, giving your 50% on each platform, that's when you start to burn through cash and advertising becomes a cost.
Ready to jump into step 3.
Maybe before we do, there's a stat that I have here. It's a 2024 report, but this was done on top performing small businesses in the US. And essentially what it found was majority of them did not have a presence on every single platform. In fact, those generated over 75% of their ad-driven revenue from a single primary channel. Example, Google Ads or Meta. Before they started to diversify. And essentially what it means is that they doubled down on one platform. It generated 75% of their revenue before they started to tap into other platforms. You know, it's something that we also mention to our clients is that we first need to make one platform profitable before we start exploring others. And that's only because we have profits to play with and we're not eating into your cash flow before we start testing others. So I think that's really important to double down on a platform where your best customers are on.
And I think that's basically the answer to that question we always get. Which platform do I choose? How do I scale, etc.? Are we ready to jump into step 3 then? Step 3 is your offer is everything. Stop selling products and start selling solutions. I think definitely one of the most important steps.
And just a snippet from the playbook. Your ad creative, colors, and copy won't save a weak offer. People don't buy products. They buy outcomes. 10% off is not an offer. It's a lazy tactic. Basically, what it's saying here is that whatever you sell, people want solutions to their pain. And you need to position your offering as the perfect solution to whatever they're experiencing. And people are either making this decision based on a pain or an outcome that they're looking for, right? So whatever products or services someone is willing to purchase, it's basically driven by those two components.
And I think that's simple human psychology, the way people think and how they're going to make their purchase decision based on that. But I also think that this allows you, by understanding that component, this allows you to actually tailor your approach in your offer to them. So let's maybe look at some examples from the playbook. So we have two examples. Let's first look at the skincare product example. So a week offer looks like 15% off our anti-aging serum. A strong offer is a 30-day holiday glow kit. Get visibly brighter, hydrated skin before your New Year's party. This includes our best-selling vitamin C serum, a free Hydro Boost mask, and a 5-minute holiday skincare guide valued at $1,200, but yours today for $799. And I think why this works is the outcome of what you're getting actually speaks for itself in the name already.
And I think you can be more specific in it. So if you look at Lerato as an example from the clinic, if you're trying to attract her, it's maybe calling out maybe an age to say, hey, this 30-day holiday glow kit for women 40 to 50 years old or 40 to 45 year old. So again, within your title and within your copy, your ad creatives, you're able to call out that specific audience. And we do this quite well in the skincare space. So if we're looking to create a kit or a bundle, we'll get an avatar where it's a woman who's 40-year-old speaking about this offer. And what happens is it attracts similar ages, right? It's the same thing when you're looking at creating specific offers. And maybe just to clarify, you can have that 30-day holiday glow kit, but have multiple buyer personas for that kit.
100%.
So again, that's where you're able to be specific in your ad creatives, etc.
Let's look at example number 2 before we move on. This is actually for an aesthetic clinic. A week offer here is Festive laser hair removal, 10% off all packages. And we see this happen so often. But a strong offer is the Summer Ready Kickstart package. Get 6 sessions for full legs, underarms, and bikini. Includes a free holiday skin prep facial valued at 850 Rand and our smooth skin guarantee, normally 12,500, but the Festive Kickstart is 8,500, limited to the first 20 clients.
So there's a couple of things that we included in that example. And I think what we want to do next is actually build an offer. And it's essentially 6 steps. So what Malaika and I will do is walk you through those 6 steps. So firstly, we're going to start with number 1, which is the outcome. What results do they want before or during the holidays?
Basically, do they want to look good for their New Year's Eve photos, or no heat wave meltdowns, because we know that's on the way, or gifts arrive on time?
It's really difficult because the examples are endless and it's depending on your business. So again, when you're looking at outcome, it's dependent on your product or service and what is that actual outcome someone would get when they use it. Step 2 is the vehicle. So here, what exact things delivers the outcome?
Maybe in this case, it's a kit, or it's a bundle, or it's a service package. Again, it's all the things that deliver the desired outcome, not just one thing.
Another example would be a treatment program. And we see it a lot with our clients in the aesthetic space, like our clinics, is that, if you're looking at weight loss, when someone comes in for that offer for the weight loss, we all know that you're not going to get the result in just one session. So again, that's the vehicle, is creating a treatment program to say that based on what your goal is, which is the outcome that they're looking for, which is probably to lose weight over the next 8 weeks or over the next 12 weeks, it's actually putting in a treatment program that will be the vehicle, which is the program. And then in that program is what they're getting. So to head over to step 3, which is the value stack, here we want to add 1 to 2 bonuses that removes effort or risk.
It's similar to the outcome, right? It's really based on different businesses, but it could be a guide, it could be express delivery or a guarantee, WhatsApp support, because again, we know that people want personalization, extended returns, perhaps.
So when you look at risk, and especially with business owners, when they hear guarantees, refunds, my policy is 3 days or 7-day refund. And at times saying, hey, let's do a 30-day refund or a 60-day refund. But what you're doing is you're actually reducing the risk for the client. And what you want to do there is incentivize someone to say, hey, this is a risk-free offer. If it doesn't work for me, I'm able to get my money back. But the number of clients that actually take you up on your offer because of that risk versus those that actually come and say, I want a refund, the numbers would make difference, meaning that you'll have much more people taking you on that offer because it has minimum risk there versus you allowing yourself to say, hey, I don't want to offer these bonuses because what if these clients come back? But the number of clients that actually come back is actually minimum. And the uptake because of that risk is much higher.
And I think the misconception with adding bonuses or having this value stack is that as a business owner, you want to reduce your risk in adding a bonus or adding value. But what we found is that if you value it, the client or the customer is going to value it even more. So making sure you actually understand what value you're adding actually increases the likelihood of somebody taking it up because you know you value it for your business. So your client is ultimately going to do the same.
And I think when you are looking at creating bonuses, it has to be something of value. Where it can be a standalone offering and someone will say, hey, I'll pay an extra fee to get my order on time, or I'll pay an extra fee for express delivery or for that guarantee or that refund policy. It needs to have some sort of value to it. And it's not something that, you just threw in together to just add it as a bonus. So at times, just making sure your bonus is of value, especially to a customer, is really important so that it has that substance there. So let's move on to something that's quite important for us, which is price anchoring or price anchor. Show the true value versus festive price.
Original price or your value price is 1,200 and your festive price is 799. And I think a couple of questions that we always get around this time of the year is when you are price anchoring, like, am I going to lose money? Because if you don't understand how to price anchor correctly, you think you're getting volume in, but your profit margins are actually going down because you don't really understand the concept of it.
In South Africa, consumers are price sensitive, right? And I think that's the big one. We all want high value customers who's going to spend the most with us. But I think something we need to take into consideration is that even high value clients do go through pricing considerations, right? It's just the market that we're in, which is great. So I think what's really important when you are creating an offer is that, and it's something Alex Hormozi does quite well, and he actually released his recent book on money models, but having an attraction offer and then upsells or cross-sells, right? So that's something that's really important. And we believe that almost every business on the e-commerce, it's basically upping your orders or you're adding your
bump ups,
right? On the aesthetic side or on your service or treatment type of, or your lead gen type of businesses, you're looking at having your upsells there. So an attraction offer is basically that makes it like a no-brainer offer. This is something that's a client is saying, hey, it's competitive. I'm seeing all this value that you stacked it with, so I'm going to go for it. But you should always have upsells there. So when a client comes in for an appointment, as an example, or when you meet with them in a consultation, like you're actually understanding what their needs are. So probably came in for that 1,200 Rand treatment, but you know what they're looking for is actually something that's part of a treatment program. And that should be the next logical step. And only once you're able to get them in front of you, you're able to present some of your other solutions. So that's really important, is that attraction offers, that's where you are competing in pricing, but you need to also stack it with value. But you also need to have upsells and cross-sells to just increase that value of that client.
Definitely.
Let's head over to step number 5, which is urgency or scarcity. This is ethical, specific, and dated.
Here you could look at a few examples like order out by 10th December, or the first 200 orders get a free kit, for instance, or the delivery cutoff would be the 15th of December. So that creates a lot of urgency, like I have to do it now, otherwise I'm not going to get it in time.
I think urgency is there to help a client make a decision. That's really important to obviously make sure that they're seeing the value and that they're taking action. So we add urgency and scarcity there, not to lie to a client or to a customer, but it's more to incentivize them to take that next logical step sooner rather than later.
Definitely.
All right. So heading over to step 6, which is proof. Proof is, if anything, the most critical component, especially when you're creating an offer.
And proof is like 4.8 stars from 600 Festive buyers last year.
I think proof is really important. Another one that I have is more than 100 customers gave this product a 5-star review. So again, it's just incentivizing a client to say it's been tried and tested before, and that allows them to just have some trust in your offer.
And I think, again, like if you look at how we make purchase decisions as consumers, it's like, okay, how many other people like me found this valuable or it worked for them? And that's where proof comes in is, okay, I find myself resonating with that. Oh, okay, that person is like me. So they found value. I'll find value too. So that becomes a really important component that helps someone make that purchase decision ultimately.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think the whole takeaway from creating your 6-step offer is to make sure that it's specific to your buyer persona, the person who you're trying to target, and that you're adding value in it. So the whole thing is that this offering shouldn't just be a 10% off or 50% off. It should be something that's bundled, it's packaged, and it becomes the perfect solution for your ideal customer. So again, you can create this for, if you have multiple services, you can create it or products, create it for all of them. But again, it's all about stacking that value and showing the client or your customer that there's more than just that price tag and the product that they receive.
Got it. So step 4, guide your customer. Don't just yell, buy now.
And I think we see 90% of businesses do that, where they run discounts, and it's great. We're not saying don't do it, but I think there's obviously a journey that a customer needs to go through. So I think we have a couple of examples here, or a framework rather. It's a 3-step framework. So again, I think what we want to do here is look at how we position our customer journey and what this actually means.
Before I jump into the specific examples, I think this helps you again strategically set up your campaigns, because you basically putting specific messaging based on where your customer is in their buying journey or what action they actually took. So let's look at stage 1 in that framework. And this is for new audiences, the hello. And here we look at specific content like tips or short educational videos, which helps you create awareness.
In other words, it's top of funnel, right? So something that we mentioned earlier on is the 3% and then the 97%, right? So that's your funnel. So the 3% is where we want everyone, where we're making them direct offers and they're converting, which I know is something that we'll speak on. But what we're looking at is the top of funnel, which is your biggest bucket of potential customers, and what would they need in order for them to say, hey, you guys understand me. So again, it's value-based content. It's sharing value. It's like your 3 festive skincare mistakes. So your goal here is to build trust and to position your brand as the expert in that.
Yeah, definitely. I think people look for that thought leadership or the expert that I am going to go to, or I'll go to you for that. So at your top of funnel, 100% in creating awareness, you have to do those multiple touch points that get someone to say, okay, I believe you. That's essentially step 1. I believe you. Let's look at stage 2. Stage 2 is the proof. And stage 2 looks at things like testimonials or before and after images, case studies, behind the scenes. And ultimately, now you're trying to get someone to consider.
So this is middle of funnel. So middle of funnel is people who have engaged with your pieces of content that you've put out at the top. So that valuable piece of guide or those 3 tips that you gave someone, they've engaged with it. They probably clicked onto your page. You start to track them. And then now you want to build that trust and credibility with them. Again, like you mentioned, through before and afters, testimonials, or any social proof. Client testimonials where it's social proof, where you're justifying that whatever you told them does work and you're showing them that it works.
Yeah. And I think it literally goes back to what we spoke about in the offer builder. In that last step, when we spoke about proof, what we are looking to do here is get people to see themselves in that proof. And that's why those testimonials give someone the confidence to say yes or consider to take the next step.
And then lastly, it's the offer, which is the bottom of funnel.
Yes. So bottom of funnel, this is where we come full blazing in with our offers. Strong offers here. This is where we're adding urgency. We're adding our scarcity in here. And we need to give someone a reason to buy, right? Like we need to ask them for the sale now.
And I think a lot of people get it wrong, right? Especially because we have a couple of weeks left. It's festive sales. We're trying to drive sales. Our goal is to make more money right now. So I think what's really important is that if you're thinking that, hey, do I need to build this top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel approach where this customer journey that's probably going to take weeks to get done? And it's not necessarily the case. This can actually be done in a day. So think of you creating a top of funnel. It's an offering or it's an ad that speaks on creating value. You launch that today. You're showing it to 5,000 people. You then now have an audience of people to retarget with your middle and your bottom of funnel offers. So this can happen within a couple of hours. We launch campaigns with $200. You're probably getting a reach of what? Anywhere from 1,000 to a couple of thousand, depending on your target audience and your offering. But again, this can happen within a couple of hours. So it's not something that's going to take weeks to implement. Like you can literally get started on it right now.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to funnels or sales funnels is that people think that it's super, super complicated to set up. And in actual fact, it's not, because you already have a database of people. And even if you don't, there's ways to leverage your best customer and that buyer persona you're looking to get to and move them down the funnel swiftly without breaking the bank.
And I think most importantly, your ad costs go down, your conversion rate goes up, and you're speaking to a warmer audience.
Definitely. Okay, I want to add before we move on to step 5 is that once you have this person as a client, the next step in the sales funnel is actually getting them into an infinity loop. So your sales funnel doesn't just stop at the top, middle, and bottom of funnel, and then what happens next? Because the truth of the matter is it actually costs us more to get a brand new customer than to retain an existing customer and get them to consistently buy again from us and increase their customer value from us. So that's where we can look at specific messaging around retargeting that essentially allows someone to again take that next logical step for the follow-up treatment or for the next offer that you believe would fit best with them.
And I think why this funnel approach is so important right now, or more than ever, is because of how competitive it is. A lot of clients that we work with, and even as an agency, like a year ago, compared to the ads that we're seeing now, like there's much more. So I think it's really competitive. And this is where you're able to go find your buyer personas. And again, this could be multiple different types of businesses where you're able to go and provide value first, get them, show them testimonials or show them that you have been delivering these results, and then saying, hey, if you want to work with me or if you want this product or this service, like take the next logical step. So again, you have to have this funnel approach. I think because if you look at 2026 as an example, things are just going to get more competitive, meaning that if you're not building this funnel approach and getting as many people top of funnel to hear you in a noisy market, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to grow your business. You're going to struggle to get conversions. And I think it's even more important now if you have a couple of weeks left.
With that being said, clients are looking to stay loyal. They are looking to stick to one business or one service provider or clinic, whatever that looks like. But because it's so competitive in the market, I mean, there's so many ads, and especially at this time of the year, if we don't get really good at understanding our customer and putting the right offer in front of them at the right time, they are going to see everyone else's ads and they are going to test. That's basically it.
In other words, saying that if you're not doing it, your competitors are.
Definitely.
So you'd rather be the one in front of your customers. You know, we hear this so much where, hey, business was booming. And then first it was COVID really, I took a knock. And then it was, hey, business was doing well, but customers are not coming back. But the reason being is because your competitors are creating strong offers like what we went through in the previous step. So it is competitive for all of us. So you just have to be at the forefront, creating these offers, using this funnel approach, but most importantly, be the one who's providing as much value as you possibly can to these customers.
With that being said, there is a few ways that you can actually do that. It'll probably take us the entire day to go through all of the ways, but I think one of them is automations, and that actually brings us to step 5, which is automating your growth.
So automation is really important for us. Even as a business, we try to automate as much as we possibly can and also implement that for our clients. Because again, how do we actually help them to scale? So a snippet from the playbook is, and it's something that we spoke about in our last point, but getting a new customer is always more expensive than keeping one. The real profit isn't in the first sale. It's in what happens after they buy. This is where we separate good festive seasons from great ones.
It's not too soon to actually talk about 2026. In most of the conversations we have, business owners want the wins now. Everyone, we all want it, and it's a definite yes to that. But knowing how to get that customer to take that next step with you going into 2026 means that you've actually set yourself up going into a new year with a loyal customer base where everybody is sort of chasing their tails to get new customers in the new year and trying to figure out why is no one buying in January. Now you're able to take more of a strategic step.
Getting a new customer is 5 to 25 times more expensive than keeping one. So if you're spending all your money on Black Friday ads or festive ads for one-time purchases and you're not trying to resell or retarget them strategically in the new year, or even for their second purchases or their second bookings or whatever that might look like, you're actually leaving money on the table. So I know we have these 2 parts to the automation. So part 1 is simple retargeting. So basically this is the easiest win. Stop showing your ads to people who just bought that product. You're able to retarget them and show them additional offerings or the next logical step that they should be taking.
And I think this is where we can get really personal. And again, we have this information in our businesses. It's just unpacking that information and having a system that helps you actually understand what this customer just did with you and what the next customer did. And let's not take this blanket approach to our messaging. And that's where we find a lot of money being wasted on ad spend, because like you said, you end up showing the same ad to the same people who just bought the thing.
An example that we used previously, the skincare example, the customer that purchased the glow kit, what would be the next logical step for them? That would be perhaps a daily moisturizer. So whatever that next logical step is, show them that offering. So again, you don't want to retarget them with the kit that they just purchased. So that's where I think when you're using these ad platforms and it's not just boosting a post, you're actually using the right metrics and you're setting up the campaigns correctly where you're able to exclude people who just purchased this product and you're able to show them new offerings or the next logical step. And this is how you also become a solution provider. So while you're using automations on these ad platforms to retarget them, it takes us to part 2, which is automation. So this is basically your 2026 engine. So here, it doesn't need to be complex. In the playbook, we do map out a couple of examples, but what we want to do here is use automations like email and WhatsApp to walk someone through that journey with them. And I know we have a couple of examples. I'm not sure if you do have it there.
Yeah, I do. Let's look at example 1. And again, like you mentioned, using WhatsApp or email or SMS is a new mom, Sarah. She booked a postnatal massage. So day 1, we could send Sarah an SMS or a WhatsApp. And here we're saying, hey, Sarah, thanks for visiting us. Here are 3 gentle stretches for lower back relief you can do at home in 5 minutes. And essentially what you've done is you put your name of your clinic, for instance, and now you've helped her again for free. You've added value. Maybe in week 4, we send through another email nurture and we say, hey, Sarah, you're doing great. As you get stronger, many new mums move on to our core restore program. For those who've had kids, we all know what that means. But here's a short article on what to expect. Now you're guiding her to the next logical step. So you're backing up the next logical step with more information. And then at week 8, we look at a WhatsApp message where we make our offer and we say, hey, Sarah, because you loved your massage, we've opened a 10 mum-only slots for our Core Restore program in January. And as a thank you, here's 15% off. If you're ready to feel stronger, let's take the next step. And this becomes something that becomes relevant, it becomes timely, and now it's valuable because Sarah is ready to actually take the next step based on where she is in her buying journey.
And there's probably a couple of things that I want to cover there. What we're trying to do is provide value instead of trying to sell. So most of the time, if you're retargeting and people have, or we have clients that have massive email email list, and what they do is they'll sell them something, or they just send new offers, right? Hey, 20% off your next purchase, 20% off your next purchase, or buy this and get this free. So again, I think what we want to try and do here is also not only try to sell to consumers, and they're actually tired of that. They want value, right? And again, in this example here, it sounds like you know them and you start to build that personal connection at scale. So what this does for you is it increases your customer value, meaning that you only paid once to acquire this customer, and then now you have the opportunity to make multiple sales to them. So again, you're not paying anything to get this customer or to resell to them. So again, it's increasing your customer lifetime value or your customer value. I think the next thing that's really important is it does sound complicated. Sending 2 emails, then a WhatsApp. Important to note, there's automation tools. We implement this for our clients where we're able to set it up once and it's automatic. So as soon as a tag happens, when they purchase this happens. Or once they are tagged, they came in for this treatment, this automation happens, and then everything else is just automated. So again, we can't rely on our team to manually go and do this for every client, right? You know it's not going to get done because of the scale of it. So what's really important is that there are automations that actually help you do this. And this is where you're able to be top of mind. And I think what I like about this example is that, yes, we're providing value, but you are top of mind for this client. So even though they might see your competitors' ads, you're able to still be one step ahead by having multiple touch points. And what I mean by multiple touch points is you're speaking to them on email, you're dropping them a WhatsApp, and then you're also retargeting them on your ad platform. So if it's on Instagram, you are retargeting them with specific offers of value. And then lastly, it's your organic content that you should be doing, right? So it's actually 4 or 5 different ways you're communicating with this one client. And that's where retention happens. It's hard for a client who has so many touch points with your business to just pick up and leave.
Definitely. Just from a sales perspective, we know most clients need a minimum of 7 touch points before they actually make a purchase decision. But remember, in this case, it's a little bit different because Sarah already came in for her first treatment. So you're literally just stacking up the touch points. What also happens is that when they do see your competitor's ad on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else for that matter, they're actually thinking about your clinic, specific to this example. And they like, oh, that clinic did send me that message. Okay, when I'm ready, I'll go back there. And I think it does talk to the community element that most, in this case, every mom wants to be a part of a community and know that I'm going to a place that actually understands my pain or the journey that I'm about to embark on. So again, leveraging technology can help you to still stay personal. And I think that is a misconception, is that we can't use technology to stay personal, but we can.
Yeah. And I think what's important there is not to try and act like these automations are a real human there. If it's automated, like, I mean, a client is fine. Like, you still thought about me. So we're not trying to impersonate, and know with AI and a few tools that we're launching with our clients, we're not trying to replace a human. We're just trying to personalize that entire experience and ensure that this client is getting the service in a timely manner. And again, this becomes vital when you start to scale. When your business is below or around the 2, 3, 4, 500K, you can manage this. You have a team, things are going great, right? But once you start hitting that R1 million mark and you're starting to scale now, adding automations becomes vital for your growth. Otherwise, you'll hit that plateau.
Definitely.
I think let's wrap up. It's been great chatting to you. But I think what's really important now, and we know this time of the year, it's crazy. You're probably thinking, how am I going to hit this annual revenue goal? But I think if there's anything that you can do, number one, create that offer. There's 5 things that we spoke about. My advice is create that offer and then get as many people to see that offer. So if there's any takeaways that you can take from the session today is spend some time on that offer and who that buyer persona is. Create specific offers, even if it's multiple, and then get as many people to see that as you possibly can. You'll make money, right? You'll close deals, you'll get customers, even if you just focus on those 2 things.
Well, it was great. The chat was great. We could probably sit and talk about this the entire day. If you enjoyed this chat and if you've learned something and you find it valuable, definitely share it with a fellow business owner, because I think we need to not be gatekeeping. We need to be sharing this type of information with all of the people that we care about, especially the business owners in our lives. All the best for the festive season and 2026.